All right, guys, welcome to the Onelife Podcast. Here with Michael. He and I live and breathe social media. Everything he does, he says, he lives it, he breathes it, he leads by example. We're going to get it together on a consistent basis, provide value on businesses, social media, building your brand, right?
Yep.
And that's exactly what you live and breathe.
Absolutely. And one of the things actually I kind of want to talk about too is a lot of people don't really think about is when it comes to also coming with the process of creating content and doing this whole routine and everything like that, especially if you're doing it by yourself, you have to be careful about burnout. You know, a lot of people when they are creating stuff, they are doing stuff every single day, right? And especially when you're just starting out, you get to a point where am I seeing the results? Am I actually
Why am I doing this at all?
Yeah. Why is that happening? We talked about that. Like, why are we doing this every day? And the thing is, we have a big enough purpose to why we're doing it, you know, whether it's the benefit we get out of helping other people, also obviously the financial gain out of this because you're working for yourself, you get time freedom, and then the creativity. You know, it's fun to create cool things, you know, to test yourself, to challenge yourself, to push yourself to different limits and stuff. But what happens when life happens and you lose clients and any of the videos you're doing just aren't hitting, or you messed up when, like you said, always check your microphone. You didn't check your microphone. I don't know if it's really working with you guys or not. It could not be working. So what about those kind of things? How do you go through, like, what kind of advice would you give people who are starting out and they're hitting their first type of frustration?
What I eased into it. So my goal when I first started was I'm going to post once a day.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it consistently.
Right.
And I did it and I kept it consistent, and I would kind of prep. So before I got up in the morning, I would have a photo or a video or something on my phone ready to be posted before I got out of bed.
I like that prep because you do something like the day before, that night before, to set yourself up. You're not doing it yet. You're just putting out the whatever tools that you need, or you're putting out the environment, making sure the environment's clean and
yeah, or even just pulling a photo off a hard drive onto my phone, so it's there ready to go.
There you go.
And because of what I do for a living, most businesses go wrong with they don't have content to post, therefore they don't post. So when they go to post, all of a sudden they're chasing the tail. Hey, what are we going to post? We're supposed to post today. We haven't posted for 2 days. They run around trying to figure out what to post, and they don't do anything because they're always 2 steps behind. So it's like setting up to be successful is probably a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah. I think about things ahead of time as in like, okay, so if I want to post every single day, how do I, create what work do I need to put into creating that much content, and how much time will that take? And then I set aside that time to come up with the ideas, to either script the ideas as well, and then to create the visuals, whether it's graphics for a image post or what kind of editing, like the music and all that kind of style and the ideas for a visual post. So when I batch that stuff together, then I have my shoot day and I'll just knock out all that stuff at one time. I've actually was struggling with this for the last couple months. I'm going through like a little transition with what I want to start creating my content to be now. I've been testing some more cinematic style stuff instead of just my educational based, just looking at the camera and just telling you the facts, right? How to do this, how to do that. I want to play with more like we were talking about earlier before we really started this podcast, was just documenting your life. But what does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who burn out, they're like, I want to document my life. I just document it and then I have to think about doing stuff.
But doing it yourself, like you said.
Yeah. How do you do that seamlessly? This is kind of a test of just taking your phone. I have 2 phones. I put my one phone up to get behind the scenes, or I get another phone and I do a live as well while he's capturing for the podcast. And then we can take clips from the podcast later, but then the live is great for people who just want to be here and watch it now. So we have so many different venues of how we can document our life, but we have to think about the end result and how that's going to turn into something that you want to use, that's going to connect with your audience and stuff. Those clips.
The more you do, the more you've got to now work with, which is good, but also bad because it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
Now, rather than having one video to chop up, I've got 3 or 4 different pieces of content. And do I really need all this? Is this beneficial? Is this just going to take me twice as long? It's tricky, right?
Yeah, it is. And
it could be simple as just a selfie might do the job.
Yeah.
It's
one of those things where it's like it's all about who you are, what your branding is. Because if you have a brand that is very engaged with your community, you know, you guys are going in and commenting on each other's comments, you see them asking questions, you're really engaged, you're really talking about whatever you're posting and stuff like that. There's probably different things you can get away with, you know, like doing lives sporadically and just throughout your day, and them just connecting with you as an individual, and getting to know you more personally. And then there's different things where, like a brand that doesn't really have a personal face, but they just have a mission that everyone connects with. You know, like a gym, you know, everyone goes to the gym, but there's no real face of the gym. You could interview random people in the gym. You could put up different posts and share different things and thoughts and ideas and techniques from different people. There's different ways to create content and get content. That's not stuff that you personally have to create. You can take that from your community and share that. So that makes people feel so much more connected. You have to remember, social media is that. It's social.
Showing the culture. I
Yes.
feel like you're getting it, right?
Yeah.
Like Smash Iron, I've had a bunch of the guys on. It's all about culture.
Yes.
Showing that culture. Because then you relate to the culture or you don't. But then you know whether you fit or not.
Mm-hmm.
And every business, every gym, everything's got a different culture about it.
Yeah.
Even our culture is so different to most people's, right? It's,
Let's talk about that. Like, what are the expectations of being someone who does this on the daily? You know, what's your routine like when it comes to creating content consistently?
I always put this back to the gym. If you haven't been in the gym for 5 years and all of a sudden you go every day for 2 weeks, what are you going to do? You're going to burn out. You never want to get back to the gym again for another 5 years. But if you go to the gym 3 days a week for an hour for the rest of your life, you can probably maintain that. You probably can keep that consistent. I approach content creation the same way. Don't go in too hard too soon and burn out and not do any of it. Get some type of consistency with something which is attainable and maintainable, and do that on a consistent basis. And then once you do that, then you can add your cardio after you work out. Then you can start going to the gym 5 days a week. Then you can start posting twice a day. Then you can start doing a video and a reel. Build on that base. Does that kind of get across what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So that's important. He said base. What is your base? What is a base? I would say a base is your main message. You know, what are you about? Why are customers or prospects or your followers or your community a part of your branding? You know, why are they there? Why do you want them to be there? Is it because you have a service that you want to help them with? Is it because you have a product that you want them to buy and use and promote? Or is it just because you have a place where you want them to be, to hang out, to grow, to meet other people? I mean, whatever it is for you, you need to know what that is, and you need to find a way to voice that, whether that's visually, you know, with your style, with the font. I'm talking about like the colors, you know, the way that you voice your message. What are we connecting with? Are we connecting with an emotion, a feel of how you make us feel through your content? Or are you educating us with your knowledge? You're giving us solutions. Or maybe you're entertaining us because you're so funny, but at the same time, we keep coming back to you because we love what we're getting from you because of those kind of things that I just listed out. You have to find your base. And once you kind of have your base, that's when you can take a lot of the different aspects of using lives and posts and images and play with all these different things that create different types of engagement. So it's a lot.
What do you think about being consistent with your base? Like having like continuity with your base?
What do you mean by continuity?
Being like doing the same type of thing. Like you do a lot of educational stuff. I do a lot of educational stuff. Do you think that's more important to have a consistent base on that and then build around it and try different things around it? Or can you kind of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks?
So there's a lot of different ways that people would probably say this out there. And for me, it depends, because I think when you post on your feed, you want to be kind of consistent in the sense so that people can recognize you literally by a few things. Like honestly, like right now you're posting a lot of this, so
With
I
the same
recognize
background.
same background, recognize
Yeah.
the chair,
Yeah.
all those kind of things like
That's
that,
kind of
right?
what I'm getting at.
Right,
Because
right.
sometimes I want to mix it up. I'm like, maybe I
Mhm.
should just play it safe and have that bass.
I think having that base is good, but I think you can throw in different stuff every
Mm,
once in a while just to kind of test. I don't think
mm.
you should be afraid to test. And I think just because the algorithm is always changing, I feel like it knows when you're trying doing something else, it tests that with you and like it
Yeah,
throws it to different
yeah.
people,
Which can be
you
good
know.
and bad.
And then sometimes your normal people probably won't see your tests at
Yeah,
all,
yeah.
you know. So it could be something to play with. I think stories, because stories I think are underutilized and understood. They're not understood well, and I think stories is a great place to throw tests.
Absolutely
And I
agree.
think you could
Absolutely
do
agree.
whatever you want in stories, to be honest, as long as it's your personality, who you truly are, it's genuine and authentic. I think the real people watch your stories, the ones that really want to know who you are and what you're about. So the more that you kind of want to throw your tests out in your stories, maybe then you can then take that and then put it on your feed if you get really
Mm.
good response from it.
I feel like stories is the best place to just pick up that phone and document and
Yeah.
be raw, be authentic. Doesn't have to be polished, doesn't have to be lit. Like I do a lot in my car. Like
Mm,
literally stick it on the mount in the car, or I just pick it up and it gets way more views and way more traction than anything else I do,
that's crazy.
including the podcast.
That's
And
cool.
sometimes like, why do I even bother doing this when I can just pick up my phone and it's frustrating.
Well, I think the podcast is kind of like showing the fact that you went on the journey and you have all your footprints there for everyone to see.
Yeah.
Because I think having so many different guests and then having those numbers of like, you have like 30 or 50 or 100 like episodes shows that wow, this guy's really serious. It shows that you are dedicated. It shows that
Yeah.
you're disciplined. Stories, they come and go, and the only people who see your stories are the ones who constantly check your stories, the really committed people. So a month from now people are going to come and find you. They're going to see your podcast. They're not going to see the cool
Yeah.
stories you put out there.
That's a good point.
So I think it's good to do all of it. So I think for us, what a cool thing that you would do, like say you collaborate with someone such as Brendan or myself, and you created a live, you went on Instagram live, one of the easiest things you can do. You don't have to be in person to do that. And I think when you get that stuff, then you go back in your stories when you get off the live and just say, hey everybody, check out my live. I just went with this guest or my special guest and we're talking about blah 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 blah. I'm gonna go deeper on some of these things here, just one-on-one
Like a
with
call
you.
to action, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I love that. That's
So
something I don't do, which I probably should be doing.
yeah.
Hey, I just had this great conversation with Michael. We talked about this. Come check it out on this platform.
Absolutely.
Great idea.
And you could like skim the surface of what you were talking about, right?
And if you do that on Instagram, you can save it to your phone. I'll put it on Facebook stories, Instagram stories. LinkedIn's got stories too now.
Yeah. So much.
YouTube Shorts.
Yep.
Like so you can repurpose that on even on TikTok. You can repurpose that a lot of different places.
Real quick, I want to add on too. The way that you should look at this is just like how TV used to be. This is your own TV station, and you are the producer, the director, the actor or actress, and you are the person in front of, behind of all of it. You're managing all of it. You're the producer. So what shows are you gonna put on your feed? Every show is a different post on your feed. That what people see are like, okay, cool. They're scrolling, flipping through channels. Okay, they're flipping through channels, and then they stop on your episode for like a quick second, and then they're like, cool, I want to go see more. So then they tap your name, and then they go down and they just binge a whole bunch of your stuff. If your stuff is bingeable, which is what I was doing with my educational things, like I do a series of one topic and I cover 3 different questions or 3 different aspects or parts, and people would just literally go through all my content like that. And this is stuff I posted a long time ago. So you have to think about the longevity of your TV show. If you're putting out episodes and they can connect like that so people can flow through it, the algorithm is going to love that. If you do stories where you go behind the scenes and you're talking about before when you're setting up before you go on live, or you're at work and you're going out to get a coffee real quick and you just got off the phone with a prospect, the good things and the bad things of what you learned about that. Or maybe they had a problem that a lot of your people in your audience had a problem on. You go deeper into that in your stories. Give people reasons to stalk your life. You know what I'm
Stalk
saying?
your life. I like that.
I mean, that's really it. It's really it. You need to give people reasons to
Yeah.
check you out. You know, don't just sell them stuff. They want to follow other people because they're escaping their own life. I mean, you gotta look at it this way. It's a double-edged sword, social media.
Mm.
You know, you don't want to become a consumer. And that's one thing we can all fall into, especially if you're a professional at this. It's because you want to get ideas and you want to watch and see what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get so caught up into it that you just
You're not taking any action.
Exactly.
Yeah. Stop consuming, start creating. I always like to say. But it's nice to consume to learn how to get better at creating. If you create, there's this give and take.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on something I want to ask you more about. It was totally skipped my mind, so I'll let you keep talking for a second.
It's okay.
But I had a good point.
No, it's good. Like, was it regards to not being a consumer, or is it before that?
It was before that.
So possibly about like when you are something with like your routine, or I'm trying to remember it now too.
Yeah, we're trying to with these we're trying to keep this as like organic and free flowing as possible, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like so many things are kind of staged, and you talk, I talk. It's I just want this as raw as possible, as relatable as possible, right?
It's just a conversation. You know, honestly, the way that I love having these kind of things is I like to feel the conversation. You know, I don't like to have an agenda.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
You may have this at top of mind, but you fluctuate around it, or it doesn't have to be this way. You see some conversations where they always come back to the question, and they're not really listening, and they don't really authentically let it just evolve by itself. And I don't like that. I'd rather just see where it goes and just be true to the conversation and actually listen and ask intelligent questions back and forwards.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be so scripted and so staged.
I feel what interests us is going to interest those who are watching, or at least a couple people. It's going to connect with somebody, right? So I think when we take the time to really listen to whoever we're talking to, if you're going to collaborate with someone using a live or whatever in person, I would always don't just like, maybe you might need a list of questions, yes, but don't be afraid to just go off the path a little bit, to dive deeper into the emotion that, you know, might have triggered something deeper into that person. Say like we're talking about like what inspires us as individuals to do what we do every day.
Yeah.
That's a very personal question. And honestly, that's probably going to spark something deeper than just, oh, I think it's fun. You know, a lot of people are like, well, yeah, it's fun, but what about for you personally? And Brendan, he has an amazing background. He's not a US citizen. Like he's like a person who has a whole like adventurous past that you probably didn't know about, you know? So my parents, when they became citizens here and moved from Jamaica, like that opened up a whole nother venue of our life. And a lot of people don't know that part about me. That could be actually really intriguing, showing up the come up of even getting to this point. You know, I was past military. I was all these different things. Brendan has his own history of doing cool things here in Vegas. So it's like these things are very interesting to people. So don't be afraid to go off the path of what you think is like, this is the business question that they're asking. Like, how do you make this type of post? You know, like go into the individual, like human side of some of these things.
Yeah, the relatable side.
Yeah.
The question I had for you, and I'm interested in asking this because I go through it myself. How much is too much content? How much is too much posting? And how do you get past the fact you feel like nobody's watching, nobody's engaging, nobody cares? You've got to be going through this too.
Yes. And so...
And I feel like if you're just getting started, it's even harder, right?
It is hard. So there's a couple different things here. There's two different paths. If you're trying to get quick and just get up running quick and get your stuff out there quick, there's ways to do that, but it's not going to help you long term. You know, you can create fast awareness by like following trends. You know, you can follow trends, you can get a lot of cool awareness, but you're not going to get anyone to stick around for you.
You haven't provided any value.
Right.
You haven't built a community.
Right.
You're thinking short term and not long term.
Right.
I totally get what you're saying there.
Yeah. But if you're putting out quality value of stuff that interests you and who you are talking to, your community, even if you don't have one yet, but you know who you're talking to, people like you, like your past self. You know, if you don't know who you're serving, just think of your past self. You know, the things that you went through and you figured out that you wish you would have known before. That's your past self. So now you can package up those ideas and those situations and those experiences and communicate directly to your past self. Try journaling to kind of help you get into this mindset. Like you're just journaling about what you did and what you went through. And then that at least opens up that chasm in your mind to kind of talk those things through to the camera. So I would say if you can bring content like that of value and you're putting that kind of stuff out on a consistent basis, yeah, maybe you're not going to get your hundreds of thousands of views, but you're going to build your TV shows. Okay, you're going to build your TV shows.
And then like Gary says, building depth first width.
Yes.
And yeah, and I'll explain that. Depth first width is like, rather than having 100,000 followers, you got 1,000 who are true fans. People who are going to buy from you, people are going to recommend you, people are going to tag you, people who are going to listen to you, engage with you, opposed to 10,000 people for shaking your boobs who don't care about anything but you shaking your boobs.
Yeah, they looked at yours for what, half a second, and then they scrolled on past the next 100 and forgot about you. So yeah, you're getting a lot of views. Yeah, you're getting a lot of DMs. But I mean, is that paying you? Like,
yeah, and are you helping people? I feel like the path that we're taking, trying to help other people, is the hardest path to get following, to get exposure. It takes time, but you and I love it, and we would do it for free. And I feel like that passion is the driver behind it all, right?
Right. Yes, and I don't want, when I said paying you, I mean, is it really giving you like the reward that you want? Like, is this who you really want to become? You know, so for us, this is who we really want to become. Like, this is a personal journey for me. I'm not here to become someone famous. I'm not here to like put myself out there and flex on the world. I want to create a community of creators and be able to like really compete with Hollywood, but not necessarily to compete with Hollywood, you know, because I don't care what they're doing. I just want to be able to create films and travel the world and create with cool people and try different things and take the technology and push it to its limits and surprise myself with my own capabilities in this space. I want to be able to like make like a cyberpunk movie about like some type of character that's going through some type of, you know, life experience that people can relate to, but it's also cool and different. You know, like I have all these ideas and I know a lot of creators do, but we're trying to figure out how we can leverage our time to do these ideas instead of just give our time away to the system of 9 to 5. So it's how do you become your own boss? You know, so the way that we kind of got into this is we saw an opportunity to use the skills that we've developed from just however we got into this space, you know, to then make some money to continue doing what we love to do, but with a goal in mind. So that's what like really locks in why we do what we do and what keeps us from the whole burnout full circle, you know? So it's like,
and every now and then, like you run into somebody, like I had a guest on, he's like, because of your videos, I changed my business through my social media. My goal of the podcast is I want to walk into a coffee shop and someone come up to me like, hey, because of you, I started this business and now I'm here. Or because of you, I just dropped 100 pounds because of you. Or what Michael said on your podcast, change this. That's my true purpose. That's the calling behind my podcast.
Nice.
And that's, for me, I couldn't think of a more rewarding thing. Hey, I just dropped 100 pounds. I saved my marriage. I prevented from a heart attack. I now live a happy, fulfilling life because a piece of content you put out there 3 years ago.
That's awesome.
Wouldn't that be cool, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to help creators. I'm trying to help individuals. And it's all about providing value and giving back and trying to help others.
Absolutely.
And I love doing this. I would do this for free for the rest of my life because I love it. Yeah. And I always feel like that is a good indicator knowing you're doing the right thing. Would you agree on that?
I do. I feel like my best self whenever I'm in these types of situations. I feel so present.
There's no hidden agenda behind it, right?
Yeah.
It's just being organic and true to yourself.
Yep. I don't have to really think and I'm not in my head. And it's weird because I would say that I have ADHD tendencies, you know, so I'm always thinking of 10 different things at once and doing 3 of them very poorly. So it's like
I just read Total Focus. Have you read that yet?
No, I haven't.
It's like, it's a Navy SEAL. The first sentence, if you try to catch 2 rabbits, you catch none.
Yes.
And I love that. It was so simple, but I'm like, you know what? Like, you never really achieve anything when you're trying to do 2 things at once.
Yep.
80%, like that 80-20 rule, 80% effort into one thing and 20% kind of dabble. That's the way I like to look at it.
Yes, I like that.
So not 30-30-30.
Yeah.
You need to pick one.
Yep. And that's why I say you need to have a routine when it comes to content. And honestly, you need to have a routine for everything. But when it comes to content, you need to figure out what your base is and then how you can do that consistently, like Brendan and like myself. And when you get to a point where burnout is going to, come, you need to recognize what your tendencies of burnout is. When you start getting tired, or when things seem to just pile up too much, or when you just don't look forward to doing that thing that you actually enjoy.
One, right? That being a huge one.
Yeah, you need to find ways to get out of your normal environment, your normal swing, to re-inspire you. What are some things that you do to kind of get yourself out of the mix? Like, I know you sometimes fly your drones. Sometimes you go out and ride your one wheel.
My one wheel.
Yeah, like
I've been meditating lately, and that's due to a podcast. Meditation. Like, hey, all these successful people I look up to are preaching meditation. So that's now something I've done for 2 weeks.
Nice.
2 weeks, 10 minutes a night, but that's made a big difference.
That's awesome.
Try to just get outside and just get off my damn phone.
Yeah.
And I say that from a point of view where I'm not really consuming. I'm creating, I'm posting, but it takes up so much of my day. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I hate being on my phone all the time. But then I know the power of it too. So I'm really torn on that. I really don't know how much to do before it's a burnout, before, hey, is this enough? Or, hey, is more always better? I don't know. I really don't know. And there's not really anyone there to tell you the right or wrong answer, because it's different for everybody. It's tricky, right?
It is tricky. I feel that in my sense of how I go about it, stepping away helps in so many different ways, because it kind of gives you back the power, knowing that you're not like just stuck in the endless scroll, because it's easy for us to just jump up and get back to work because we like what we do. But sometimes stepping away and just taking in the air, taking in the quietness, going out, doing something without your phone. It's so weird now, to do that, which is so strange to think about. But
it's so important to do it.
It is important to disconnect and just be in the moment, around and stuff like that. Because we as humans, we're not digital. We're not plugged in really. So we need to really remember to take that time away. And I think it's okay to take breaks. I really think it's okay to take breaks. And I think batching your content can help, and scheduling yourself can help, and all that stuff. And you may take a little bit of an engagement hit, but the thing is, it's your TV show. And I think if you are building it the right way, if you're building authentically, if you're not just doing trends, and people actually follow you because of you and your personality and what you bring as a valuable resource to them, you're going to see a lot more people bounce back and be more excited when you return with certain ideas and value. And I've seen people do this where they're more creatives. They're more like artists. Okay. Like they'll do like a photo painting or something like that. Right. And they'll create maybe a visual effects kind of thing. I see this one guy, he does anime visual effects, and he creates a scene from anime, but he reanimates himself with CGI and then does all these green screen effects and stuff. And it takes him weeks to make one post, but when he makes this one post, it's quality.
I like that.
And he puts out the behind the scenes until he puts out the real main piece. So his behind the scenes stuff is kind of cool. You get 2 seconds of what he's really working on, but you see all his effort of those 2 seconds that he put together. Until you get to see the whole thing put together. And I think we need to do more things like that. We need to show people that, hey, it's a process, all of it. If you're a realtor, you could talk about, man, so I just got I was put in 10 calls today. One person wants to look at a house tomorrow. And then you take us on the house call, take us around, show the house, show the person, ask some questions, whatever. Make it a show, and then be at the end of the day, if they don't buy, you could talk about it. If they do buy, you could talk about it or whatever.
No, talk about it.
Right.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
And I can think of a bunch of people. There's people who have taken action on social media and they've just blown themselves up doing stuff that's providing value, or they've just taken action. So there's a guy in subways in New York who sketches strangers. Have you seen it?
I think so.
It's amazing.
Yeah, are they caricatures or are they real?
They're real life, like pencil drawings, I guess.
Probably
like,
not. I haven't seen that one then.
So he'll sit opposite you and he'll literally just draw you, and then you'll
on the subway.
on the subway.
Ah, yes,
and then he hands the pictures with his phone up.
Right, and they don't even know he was doing it the whole
and
time.
he makes people cry and this and that. He's absolutely huge now.
Yeah.
He's probably getting so much work he doesn't know what to do with. He's
Mhm.
so famous just by picking up a phone and taking action.
Mhm.
Who's someone comes to your mind, similar type of thing?
I would say there's this one guy that I see who goes around and he'll like ask random people to do some weird task. Not like weird, like obscene, but like something like, hey, do you mind talking to me for like 3 minutes? Or, hey, do you want to play hopscotch? Or like just some kind of random thing like that, right? And then he'll just offer them like a really awesome compensation or reward for that, like a new car sometimes, or like a lot of money or something like that. And he's just blessing these people. And these people literally, out of the kindness of their hearts, opened up to him in the beginning, not because like they wanted a reward, you know, but because they just saw the kindness in his heart or the genuine connection that they had when he came up and asked for just whatever favor. You know, something small, or sometimes even something big, like, hey, can I take a shower in your house?
Yeah. Oh, it's nuts. The guy who asked, hey, what do you do for a living? You must have seen him by now, right?
Yeah. And he goes around asking all these people, like these millionaires.
Yeah,
and
just,
like
hey, well, what do you do for a living? How do you afford that car?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
Went from that nobody to absolutely worldwide, by the 1% community at that.
I mean, how easy that is. Go around and ask a question with your phone.
But you're also learning so much at the same time.
Yep.
Like the amount of value he's learned is unbelievable. I got to get a guest in here, sit him down, set it up. He just runs up to a stranger and 30 seconds it's over.
Yep.
But just by taking action, having an idea, not overthinking it, picking up the phone, not worrying about equipment, not worrying about lighting, audio.
And I feel like a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, I could never go out in public and randomly walk up to someone. Yeah, you know, there's probably a lot of videos of people saying, get away from me, or I turn that camera off. Yeah. There's a lot of things that you probably don't see because social media is the highlight of your life, the highlight reel of everyone's like experience. And I think we get caught up in the fact that it has to be perfect. It doesn't need to be. You can go out and you can learn through experience of trial and error. There's a lot of times where we've made mistakes where the microphone wasn't on, or the battery cut off, where the whole thing didn't record, you know, or there's times where we post it and nobody watches it. You know, there's times when that's going to happen, and that's part of the journey, you know.
And also something comes to mind too. The more you do that type of stuff, it's like making sales calls. It's like cold calling.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen the first show I ever did was The Cheeky Truth. Did you see that?
I did.
Dude, I used to walk up to strangers on the strip and ask them like sexual questions. Do you know how many people said no at first? And then I would say 90% of people said yes, because I got really good at pitching it. And I would have 10 to 15 seconds to stop a stranger on the Las Vegas Strip, and you get better at it. Yep. And then shooting strangers was another one I did. Walk up to a stranger, do a little quick 5-minute photo shoot, tons of no's. But it gives you a thicker skin and you learn not to take it personally.
Yeah.
And if you can do that and do that consistently, you get a thicker skin, you get better at it. And I mean, not everybody needs to run up to a stranger and do it that way, but there's always a way that you can do it for your business. Like you're talking about the artistic side, right?
Yeah.
You're just documenting you drawing a picture, documenting you making a painting. It doesn't matter. There's a way. There's a will, there's a way. And you got to find the right way for you that works for your personality, your type of personality, your confidence, your...
Absolutely. So it's what works for you. So if you are a business owner and you have like a brick and mortar building, you offer a service or a product or something like that, what do? You know, how do you connect with people?
What makes you different to everybody else too, right?
Yes. What makes you different?
20,000 realtors in Las Vegas.
Man.
What makes you different as a realtor in Las Vegas? And make it public. And if you don't put yourself out there and someone else does, how you expect to stand out?
Right. Don't limit yourself. Don't be like, well, I can't be a Ryan Pineda because he's in realty, you know, and I can't be a Grant Cardone. I can't be a Gary V. I'm not good at talking on camera. You know, I don't look good on camera. I don't like sound good on camera. It's sometimes you don't even need to be on camera.
A lot of time you don't need to be. Even like what is it, Fiverr? You can get little emojis. You can. I think you did it, didn't you?
Yeah, I made my own emojis. I've done a little bit of everything creative,
like animated type thing, right?
I've used Legos and animated stop motion animation. So there's so many unlimited venues and ideas that you can do. It's just what do you want to do? What can you do that's unique to you? What skills do you already have?
Right? Like,
yeah.
Like I got a Australian accent, so if I'm not on camera but I just use my voice, it's probably going to stand out more than an American accent just because it's an accent.
Yep.
Self-awareness.
Yep. It's part of your branding.
You're a good-looking guy. Be on camera. It works in your favor, right? Like, whatever it is.
If you have a certain type of style, like I wear my hats a lot, just because my hats have like the Lego emblem on the back, and people recognize that. And
I got Sonny who wears the high socks with pictures on it.
There you go.
That's his thing. Yeah, that's his gimmick.
Yeah, and it's like, what is your thing? Like don't lock yourself into what you think everybody wants to see or what you think everyone expects of you. Go out there and just develop yourself and grow into who you want to become. Like it's something that you can change, you can develop as you go.
And learn that no matter what you do, not everyone's going to like you.
Yeah.
Will Smith, you try to impress everybody, you impress nobody. Be authentic to yourself. Because you're the one you're stuck with.
Yeah.
If you put on this persona, you pretend to be someone else, and you become big because of that, you now have to keep that persona up. That sounds awful, right? You and I are the exact same person on camera as we are in real life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is so damn important. And we don't dress up. We're not trying to pretend to anyone. This is what we wear.
Yeah.
This is what we wear to work. This is what we wear every day. So why pretend? And I think Gary Vee changed that big time, right? Wearing beanies, not wearing a suit. Hey, you can't do a presentation and swear. You can't wear a beanie. Where's your suit? He just stuck to himself, and he got big because he stuck to himself. And I think I think it's never been more acceptable to be that way.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it coming out right now with people being fake on camera and then being caught off behind the scenes when someone has a phone and they're at a party and they're like, oh, look at so-and-so slapping whoever,
all the fake weights in the workout videos.
Yeah, exactly.
The perfect lighting. I don't know. There's always little...
There's people are trying to create a perfect life, just to get you to subscribe to them. And honestly, I think the more and more that we get used to cameras being all over the place, we're going to see the real people rise to the top, and we're going to see the fake people pretty much kind of get pushed aside.
Kind of like bad businesses on social media. Yeah. There's no room for bad businesses anymore because it will become public very quickly.
Yep. Yeah.
So you got to have a high standard. You got to have high integrity.
People are going to have to learn how to be human and work on a lot of the internal stuff, because I'm noticing this too, is that people are like, you're starting to see a huge shift from people accepting negativity. A lot of people who absorb that stuff start gravitating towards it. They just like to see people bicker and fight, and they watch those types of TV shows.
Yeah.
They consume all the news, they consume all that kind of stuff, and they think that's life, right? They have adapted that as their life feel. Other people, such as yourself and myself, we're the opposite. We'll consume all the positive things to build ourselves up so that we can give, so that we can build into other people, so that we can lift up communities and create communities. We want to give back. We're not looking to drain. We're looking to grow and to nurture. And I think when you surround yourself with that type of environment and people and content that you do consume, it creates a whole nother perspective of yourself, because you're nurturing yourself with different things that actually are going to uplift you, instead of you just looking and pointing and blaming and complaining about all these different things. You're actually like fixing and giving and like, like you're speaking life into, and it comes full circle, both sides, So I think when it comes to all this kind of stuff, you really got to look at the power of building a real community and understanding who your brand is, and having that base and having that routine and understanding who you are internally. Like, it's all huge.
I like what you said earlier too, like with the real estate. Hey, I made that sale. I didn't make that sale. It's okay to show. I feel the problem with social media is everything's shiny and it's the perfect lighting, and hey, this went well. Hey, I'm under this waterfall. I'm in this helicopter. Then nobody shows the real life.
Yeah.
That's like, what percentage of life do you think is actually like that? Like 1% of your life, 5% of your life is actually where things are falling into place and everything's good and rosy. I feel like the more you show, hey, I lost this sale, I should have done this, I could have done that better. It's more relatable, and it's more being a human being. Not everything's like, for me, I did the cool stuff ever with a camera, and I show that, but I also try to show the fact that it can be boring. And I probably need to show more of it, because 5% of what I do is probably actually out there doing the cool stuff. 95% of it's back here. Posting, grinding, DMing, emailing, the boring stuff.
Yeah.
But it's
what we call boring.
yeah, because I'm spoiled. What I do is cool, and I love what I do. But unfortunately, most of it is the boring stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, don't be shy to show, hey, the is the bad side of it, not necessarily the right word, but like the
highlights.
Like, yeah, but I'm going to get away from the highlights.
Yeah, get away from the highlights so much and show the
what's
real
the word
stuff.
I'm looking for? The real.
No makeup.
No filter.
Hashtag no filter.
No filter on your social. I like that. That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah. So I think when we like really want to wrap this up and kind of say for you guys to really understand is, get out of your own way, go out there and try different things, figure out who you are and allow that to shine through, and on a consistent basis. Doesn't matter if there's tons of people in your space. What are you bringing that's you? And just develop that as you go, and find other people who have the same type of mindset and work together. There's no more competition, to be honest with you. There's only competition to the ones that are afraid to lose. And I think the people that see everything as an opportunity or a lesson are never going to lose. If you can take the opportunity that you have in front of you and you get out of your own way so that you actually do something instead of locking yourself away and doing nothing because of lack of action, then you're going to come away with either learning something or you're going to accomplish something. Okay? So you have to look at all those things that way, and you can't slow up for that. And when you need to rest. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Just prepare yourself for the next step. Take that time. Make time to take that time if you can. Yeah,
just to add to that, like, don't overthink it. Don't get caught up on other people's opinions. You can't not take action because you're worried what your partner at the time thought, or your parents think, or if you're gonna fail, or what are people gonna think if I lose money. Failing's only failing when you give up. The failing forward, failing quickly, always getting back up if you do fail. That just, so many people just get so caught up. I can't do this. What happens is, don't think worst case scenario.
Yeah.
It is a lesson. I've failed many times. I will fail plenty more times. If I'm not failing, I'm not learning, I'm not growing. Is this podcast going to be huge today? No. Is it going to be huge in 5 years' time? I have no idea. But what I do know is I'm going to give 110% continually, consistently, and we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I like what you said, get out of your own road. Don't overthink it. Surround yourself with the right people. Self-education, we read a lot of books, and that helps because sometimes it's hard to find the right people to surround yourself with. If you can't get around the right people, there's a million books out there, audio, podcasts, buy a book, rent a book, library. There's no excuse.
Yep.
You have
tons
access
of people
to
on
anything
YouTube.
you want right now.
You can YouTube all these different kind of things.
How did we learn? For me, I learned camera on YouTube.
Yep.
I don't know how much you did, but
I learned a lot through just hands-on with people who were in person, who were able to hey, come along, hang out with me, do all this kind of stuff.
Which is
huge.
And
then YouTube as well.
But you probably asked to be around those people too, right?
Yeah, so it's
they didn't just bring you up and hey, Michael, I'm going to teach you video.
Right. You actually have to be I go out and
taking action.
I'll see people doing stuff and hey, what's that? Going around, make connections, make friendships, talk about what you like to do. You never know who has the same hobby as you if you don't bring it up and talk about it and share about it.
Which is huge, right?
It's funny because people will be in a social group together, go out and just talk about work or the weather or the sports team. And they never talk about themselves because they think well, if I put myself out there, I'm going to be rejected. No, that's part of growing as a person is being strong in who you are and figuring out who you are. If you don't figure out who you are, how are you gonna how is anyone else going to connect with you if you don't even like yourself or what you do? You know, you need to understand that you are so important to you. You need to learn you so that other people know who you are.
The more of you put out, the more you attract back too, right?
Yes.
I have certain things I put out, and everyone I meet now is just like me.
Yeah.
And Tony Robbins says this: we like people like ourselves, or people like we want to be. And I'm a huge believer of that.
What would you say is something that you are working on currently right now, like when it comes to either business or life, you know, something like that's like your driving force? Like, what are you trying to get to as a whole?
Realizing what actually makes you happy. And that is huge, right? It's one thing to make money, but what I do remember is I remember experiences, good or bad, way more than I do making $100 or X amount of money in a week. And then realizing no matter how much you get paid, there's only so much money, so many hours in a week. So learning to realize to run a business or to make true money, you need to be able to step back and run a business and delegate and send other people out and leverage yourself. Because even I was making $1,000 an hour, it's still only 40 hours, 60 hours in a week. You're still capped. But right now, if I'm sitting there talking to you and I've got 10 people out working for me, I'm not capped anymore.
Yeah.
And that applies to if you're a hairdresser, you're a masseuse, you're any business, videographer, photographer. And then the main thing is just trying to help as many people as I can, because I know by doing so, I will get paid in return at some point.
Right.
And if I don't, I love it anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Cool. Anything else you want to touch on? I think that's...
I would just say, if you're on the fence about getting into the content creation space, or if you are at a point where you're frustrated,
or your business is struggling,
yeah, I would say just give it another go, you know. And this next go, or this next, you know, time that you decide to give it a try again, really focus on the things we kind of covered, which is, what is your base, who are you, and who you're talking to, and what consistent way can you work these things into your content, which doesn't create, you know, overwhelm. Whether it's just one post a day talking about certain things, just diving into stories, maybe just focusing on 80-20, just one thing with most of your energy. Just try to find a way to do something consistently, and really dive into who you are while you're doing it. Like, let the rawness, the authenticness come out and see what happens. See who connects with you. You know, it's not about just making that transaction. Like I said before, it's really about creating that community.
And just remember, 60% of businesses break even or lose money. So over half. And then 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And then 90% of those businesses fail in the next 5 years. So you now have this tool in your pocket, which is free to create content. Back in the day, to stand out, you had to create a TV ad. You had to pay, you have ads on TV.
And it was a risk because you didn't know it was going to work.
Yeah, you had no idea it was going to work. And it cost you a small fortune.
Yeah.
Now you have a tool in your pocket. It doesn't cost you anything besides a little bit of time. And most of you aren't doing it.
It's too easy. It's too easy to do.
Get on it. That's all I can say. Get on it and watch your business explode. Cool. See you guys. Thanks for watching.